Rocky's sitting there ain't smiling. Lewin's voice high-pitched trialing. They say he shot taking a chance, but evidence ain't got a glance. Witnesses mumbling scared straight. Nothing clear in this debate. Pointing fingers without a clue. Lewin's case falling through. Where the proof they keep on hollering echoes through the room, just following empty claims circling the fight. Truth hidden out of sight. Courtroom buzzing in confusion. Accusations feel like an illusion. Rocky silent eyes like fire. Hold them out of sight. Courtroom buzzing in confusion. Accusations feel like an illusion. Rocky silent eyes like fire. Holding ground through this mire. Evidence, so where you hiding? Justice on thin ice just sliding. Prosecutor's voice keeps breaking, but the truth remains unshaken. Doc's reports ain't showing much. No fingerprints, no guilty touch. Suspicion's high and runs wild, but innocence stands beguiled.
What about,
I just do.
talk about it? No. Thank you. All right, we're back on the record. All jurors, counsel, and parties are present. Mr. Tacopina, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. I'm just going to pick up where I left off, which was talking about the picture of the set of magazine that we showed you, which described as clear or transparent, whatever it was not black. That extended thing that Lou and both photos had described. So in the end, the prosecution on this issue, all issues really want to believe really beyond a reasonable doubt, and look, you've all been here for his testimony. I would submit to you that perhaps the most unbelievable witness in the history of American jurisprudence. You guys have a front row seat to a perjury machine. Again, they could have corroborated a lot of his testimony if he were truthful. Lydia Parker. I mean, they sat in their hands for years. They could have tested to see if Relly's shell casings came from that magazine, the women's magazine. They didn't connect Rocky Relly's shell casings with fingerprint DNA. And as a quick aside, if you accept their theory, I think I heard this on the opening summation, is that maybe Rocky forgot about the magazine. Why wouldn't he? Truly, he had a gun, and he was trying to get rid of the evidence of the shooting from November 6th. Why wouldn't he have gotten rid of the magazine also? Why keep it for 5 months in plain sight? I mean, that's where it was, right? It's not like it was hidden somewhere in the house they had to find it. It was in a box in his bedroom with all the other ammunition for the legally registered guns in plain view. They didn't show you, by the way, the shell casings that Relly claims he recovered at the scene don't match the 6 shell casings found in Rocky's house that belonged to Miss Levin. We had to show you that. We showed you that. They produced, as we talked about, no GPS data to prove where Relly really got shell casings from. His melon, this would have been easy to do. Relly claims first he said he wasn't in Los Angeles weeks before. I'm certain not a shooting last week. We won't go through that again. But he claimed he left Los Angeles after he had shooting range for those 9mm shell casings, and then he came back to Los Angeles 2 weeks later. would have been easy enough to prove. I mean, how about an airplane ticket or anything else that he ever left Los Angeles and flew back, ever? After having 9mm shell casings flying to his face at a shooting range just weeks before. He took photos of his shell casings. I mean, that would have been an easy one to prove. Just bring his travel itinerary or an airplane ticket from Delta or wherever. He said he flew commercial. How about on his phone? Anything that would show he actually left Los Angeles. Nothing on the record. No evidence that he actually left Los Angeles after being at that shooting range on October 19th. So where did he get his shell casings from? At 11:45 p.m. that night, an hour and a half after the incident. Law enforcement didn't give us the means to answer that question. They never got Relly's GPS data. They could have given a definitive answer to you. They didn't, and that's not on him. That is not on him, because they didn't give you the evidence you could have been comfortable to rely on, as opposed to just taking Relly's word, which is not a word that you take for anything of importance in anyone's life. Whether he had him at some apartment in Los Angeles or at some friend's car or some place, who knows? We'll never know. We could have known, but we don't, and we never will. Because the prosecution gave you no one in this courtroom the ability to track where Relly went in the hour and a half after the incident. Only Ill's GPS data did they get. The church didn't get it, they just didn't get his. They just wanted to take his word on that, word of pathological lying. Look at all the things they failed to corroborate that they could have. To corroborate Efron's account, the DA could have done any of the following. And would have given you a sense of comfort, the sense that, hey, you know what? He did tell the truth about this anyway. They could have called Efron's girlfriend, Libby Parker, who was allegedly with Efron when he claims he retrieved the shell casings. They could have collected GPS data from that night from Efron's phone to prove he returned to the scene. Again, they did leave it for Ill's phone, but chose not for Efron. To look at the metadata on the photographs that Efron took of these shell casings, which would have shown exactly where he was when he took those photos. These are things they could have done to corroborate. They could have produced a plane ticket or receipt to show that Efron actually left Los Angeles. After he went to a shooting range 2 weeks before the incident, they didn't do that. They could have called this Asap Bari to corroborate the conversation that he allegedly had, or that allegedly happened on November 5th, the day before the incident, with Bari and Rocky, in which Relly claims Rocky badmouthed him. No phone records of that, nothing. And then, of course, they could have tested Efron's casings to see if they came from the magazine found at Rocky's house prior to the trial. Of course, they could have tested Rocky's DNA against those casings or the magazine, and they did neither. Those are just some of the things. I mean, those are deficiencies in the evidence, and they create reasonable doubts. They're reasonable doubts, and especially when you consider what Relly did with the photos of those shell casings. He didn't go running to the police saying, "Hey, help! I was a victim of a crime." He tried to extort money out of Rocky, like when Rocky and his manager first. And I want to remind you that there are 2 hurdles the prosecution has to overcome to get a conviction in this case. First, proving that Rocky did not carry the property. And then, of course, the service, if they can't do that beyond a reasonable doubt, not even close. And then, of course, the judge's instructions told you should stop right there if you find that and find him not guilty. But also, the judge instructed you that regardless of whether he possessed a top prop gun or not, you must find him not guilty if the prosecution had not disproved that he acted in self-defense or defense of another beyond reasonable doubt. And in this case, there is clear evidence of self-defense of another. And by the way, I heard Mr. Roslomov say in his summation that's a new defense. It's not a new defense. We talked about our summation in our opening statement a month ago. The judge gave me the instruction on it, not because he was doing me a favor. The judge gave me the instruction on it because there's a view of the evidence that supports it. hair up, and you shouldn't even get to self-defense. But it's there. It's another layer that they have to overcome beyond a reasonable doubt. And Relly was the aggressor. There's no question. In their opening statement, they said Rocky was the aggressor. Rocky was the one who sought confrontation, and they did everything possible at the trial to make you believe that. Right from the beginning, they played their video of 16 East Belmore, which captured the incident. But they intentionally left something out there. When they claimed that Relly used bills as a human shield, what they did not want you to see was after it was all done and Rocky's out of the picture and Relly's already running out, they cut Relly running back towards Ills and attacking Ills again. So the human shield thing is no longer there. Everyone's out of the picture. And Relly goes back and takes one more parting shot at Ills to the left before he goes off to the right. They cut that out of it. Of course, they don't want you to see that. That's very damning to their case. They actually cut it out of the video. I'm going to show that to you. What else did they want you to see or hear? The first shot actually occurred on the 16 East Del Mar video, which is why Detective Flores' testimony established that they mistimed the first shot. Remember, Detective Flores talked about this. As opposed to our video, which you know is the accurate timing based on two things, your eyes and 12. It's not a game. There's way too much at stake. His life is at stake. It's not a game. Detective Flores gave us uncomfortable testimony in that regard. Okay. It was a rough estimate, he said. They tried. That's not good enough. He gave a living example how their timing was off by a full second. I showed you the video where one thing said 8 seconds, yet the video was 9 seconds. Of course, yeah, it was. But I didn't make it. I didn't make the video. Let's go through the evidence that shows that Relly, not Rocky, was the aggressor. Look, you can look at 3 things to show that. Communications, intent, and actions. So I want to just quickly get through that and then move on. But communications, intent, and actions. Let's start with communications. The prosecution wants you to believe that the events on November 6, 2021 started the day before when Relly claimed he was in the car with ASAP Bari and supposedly heard Rocky say, at that end, Relly, I'll beat him up. First of all, I don't think Rocky is going to say he's going to beat Relly up in any lifetime. He's not, I think Relly made fun of him, made fun of his manhood, told him some derogatory names. He's not a gangster, certainly he's not thinking he's beating Relly up. And what's the proof of that? What's the proof of that conversation that started it all, that showed Rocky's the aggressor? No text messages, no phone records, no recorded statements, no other witnesses. And of course, the one guy who heard it, ASAP Bari, who Relly said is still a good friend of him. They brought him in here to say, yeah, that's what Rocky said. So we just have to take Relly's word. Just his word. There's so many reasons you can't just take his word on anything. You saw him lie over and over to you. Over and over. It became a joke. It was offensive and a joke. It's not funny. Including about this very issue about being the aggressor you lied to you on. And they embraced his position on that. They embraced it. Remember what they showed you in their opening statement, text messages from Rocky to Relly on the way to the Playboy Cardi concert on November 6th, 2021 at 9:34. WYA is where you're at, where you at. Let's get to the stuff of my calls. They showed you this. That's the, I think Steve was at 13. I have that right. They showed you that. They wanted you to believe that these were sinister messages and that Rocky therefore was the aggressor. First of all, you heard from 12-year-old Jamel Phillips, who said that there was nothing aggressive about these messages. He heard the calls. They were late for this Playboy Cardi concert, whatever that is, and to try to connect with Relly. But what else did you learn? When the prosecution showed you those texts, they wanted you to believe that those were the first messages of November 6, 2021. What you learned was that Relly deleted the messages before that. The early messages that showed Relly's true character, his true animosity, his true aggression towards Rocky, his true intentions of meeting Rocky that night. He deleted messages before giving his phone to the police. On November 6, 2021, at 10:30 a.m., Relly texts Rocky first, saying this. Exhibit P. You got all this fake animosity towards me, LOL, beat me up, and I wish you would. Give me a reason, and you can, whatever. You see what it says. I don't have to read that word. Relly made clear he wanted a reason to fight Rocky. He made it clear there. Matter of fact, his testimony made it clear. He said, from his trial testimony, what do you say under that thought? Give me a reason, he answers. And then I say, a reason to do what? To fight you, or whatever, at this point. So when he says, give me a reason, he's explaining what that meant. It meant to fight Rocky. Those were the first messages of the evening. You didn't see that. They presented the other messages from Rocky as the only messages that day. And that one was their fault, because their witness lied to them, lied to the police, and deleted messages. Destroyed evidence in this case, which he's fond of doing. And when I asked Relly if he deleted those messages before turning his phone over to law enforcement, he lied to you at first. It was a big shocker to me. At first he said, I don't recall. Then I showed him the messages. What did he say next? His go-to line. You see those messages? It's fake. It's fake. Anything that crushed him was fake. It's fake. You heard that a lot from him at this trial, when confronted with his own words, whether a text or recorded conversations, it's fake. But he openly admitted he sent those texts to Rocky that day. But obviously he didn't like the way he would have looked at the police. He chose him to be the aggressor. So it didn't fit his narrative. So what did he do? Delete them. What other communications were there? We were on communication still, leading up to the November 6th altercation. You saw text messages from Relly to his friend Ty Y on October 16, 2021. And Relly was in LA, as we know. And he said, if Rocky don't, this is an exhibit, if Rocky don't do shit for this boy funeral, I'ma beat that end up. So, he's now threatening to beat Rocky up because he didn't think you heard what that was all about this ASAP member, ASAP Josh, who passed away. Rocky stepped up and paid for the flight to be flown back to New York and the funeral expenses for the family. For some reason, Relly, someone just thought, well, Rocky didn't take care of that. You know, so he would pay him back. He did, he learned. So Relly sent that message on October 16, threatening to beat Rocky up. Of course, when I first showed him that message, they objected. Not sure why that's his message, because they didn't want you to see that. Threatening to beat Rocky up. And why? Why did that not be relevant for you to see? It's offensive. That is offensive. That we had to bring that to you. Relly's willingness to lie to you over and over again without regard to his oath to tell the truth his text. When I asked Relly if he sent that message to, if he sent the message about beating up Rocky, he lied again. Falling back on his usual answers, I don't recall. I don't recall if I sent it. So I showed him, and his response. Look at his response here. What am I looking at in his text messages? He said, nope. It's hard to read that for you guys. It's hard to read for me. But what he says is, what am I looking at? That text? I don't recall that. I don't remember that. I wouldn't even write that, he said. And that's at the bottom of that red box. I wouldn't even write that. And when I explained to him that the text was given to us from his phone, from the district attorney's office, he changed his answer to, this means nothing. Even if it was, okay, yes. I mean, just like that. Just like that. So I don't write that. I don't write like that to, sir, this was given to us from your cell phone, from the district attorney's office. Are you saying that's not yours? This means nothing. Even if it was, okay, yes. So in a matter of 5 seconds, he went from, that's not me, I don't write like that, to, oh, they gave it to you from my phone? Okay, yes, it is. That's perjury, ladies and gentlemen, that's perjury. Again, that's a crime, by the way, perjury. So I then asked Relly, if in that message that he sent, if the N-word in his text message, I'm gonna beat that N up, referred to Rocky. And you know what his answer was? I don't recall. Seriously. The message said, if Rocky don't do shit for this boy's funeral, I'm gonna beat that N up. So why did he say I don't recall? Because he knew that that message showed his animosity towards Rocky, it showed his aggression, and it showed his intent. That's why we had to bring that message up to you. We had to show you that. That didn't come on direct. His intent, number 2. Relly's message made clear he was the aggressor. They give you a little window into his intent, but so is his testimony. When I asked him if he was upset in his belief that Rocky didn't follow through on his promise to pay for ASAP Josh's funeral, Relly suddenly didn't know what the word upset meant. That's literally what he said. I don't know what the word upset means. So I showed him his prior sworn testimony at the preliminary hearing, which was also under oath. That's the gift for him. Question: you were upset, right? Answer: yes. So what did he do? Again, he just changed his sworn testimony in the courtroom in front of you as if it were no big deal. Yeah, I would be upset, he said. So the word he didn't even know what it meant a minute ago, he said, yeah, of course I was upset. His oath to tell the truth means nothing to that man. Absolutely nothing. Remember, he told you I could say whatever I want. And he showed you that time again. When I asked him if he was, quote unquote, pissed on November 6, 2021, and he was going to meet Rocky, he once again said, I don't recall. I don't recall how it was. I once more had to confront him with his prior statement to get the truth out of him, this time with a recorded statement to a district attorney, Mr. Siegel. No, Engel. Yeah, Siegel, Engel. Brett Engel from the district attorney's office back in 2022. And he said, oh yeah, I was pissed. Again, why did he first say I don't recall that he was pissed when he had said it in so many other places over the years, but he didn't want to be pissed. He knows that makes him out to be the aggressor on November 6, 2021. And we were talking specifically about November 6, 2021, when he was pissed. You know he was angry on November 6, 2021. You know, he was now pissed and upset with Rocky. We know Relly was jealous of him. He made that very clear. You heard him tell that person while his agenda. We'll get to that in a minute. I made that. He used the N-word. I made that. You heard Relly criticize Rocky, saying it's been open-ended promises forever with him. Schroeder thought he wasn't true, but he was very generous. The minute he got his first record deal, he moved everyone, 20 guys from ASAP into his apartment in New York. You heard Relly complain that he couldn't be involved with Rocky in the music industry, and that he wasn't even trying to be in August of 2021. But despite that, he saw messages in the group chat with Rocky, Relly, and Relly's business partner, this Justin Benea, on August 6, 2021. You saw during that exchange, Relly trying to get Rocky to help him professionally, and Justin Benea asking him to jump on a call, which Rocky was happy to do, but apparently not fast enough for Relly. Because he didn't respond fast enough, Relly sent a message to that group chat on August 5th, 2021, saying, exactly, here it is, exactly my point, LOL. July 24th, FU and ASAP, fake ass N, effing goofy. Make no mistake about this, Relly was jealous of Rocky and his success. He wanted the world to think he was successful. I mean, that's why we went through these Instagram posts of his with his lavish lifestyle and his closet of cash and private planes and all the stuff he posted. However, the truth was anything but what he tried to make the world believe. He showed his bank accounts. I mean, he was meant to be a multi-millionaire with $700,000 in bank. That was important. And that has to do with his jealousy and his greed. And there's no question he was jealous and angry at Rocky's success. And being as aggressive as he is, Relly, he didn't do much to hide his true feelings, except for being under oath. At least he tried first. He tried. Remember what he said about whether he would say F you to Rocky? He was actually asked by the prosecution on that one. Would you ever say F you to Rocky? And, if you did, would you mean it? And he said, well, that's what he said. If I said F you, it was sort of wishy-washy with love. So he said, well, that wasn't true. Because I showed him this text to Rocky on September 18, 2021, which was him saying, no matter how much and try, you not changing. And everything about you, you fake ass N, I did hate you, sucker. I'm not even going to read this disgusting thing, but this is what he said. This is what he said. No, he doesn't say F you to Rocky. Only wishy-washy with love. I mean, there's nothing he doesn't lie about. There is absolutely nothing he doesn't lie about. That's his level of anger. What was Relly's response when seeing that message? Look at his response. Yeah. Yeah. I said, yeah, it's from you. Okay, that's cool. That message was cool. That's what he said. That's cool. Bless you. That's cool. In which world was that message cool for anybody? That despicable message cool for anybody? It shows you who Relly is, who he was on November 6, 2021, an angry, jealous man full of hate. Third, his actions. His actions on November 6, 2021 make it clear. His actions in this court make it clear. When I was questioning him, he became hostile, volatile, and aggressive. At one point, he flexed his muscles. He cursed in the courtroom. Fell first to me. He yelled. And he thought I was disrespecting him by asking questions. He looked like he was ready to jump off that stand. And that was in front of you in the courtroom. And just imagine what he's like in the street. It doesn't take too much imagination when his actions were caught on video. I'm going to show you that video. But he claimed he went back to the scene, by the way, to take photographs of cameras there after the incident. He said, I went back to take photographs of cameras. Well, if that were true, you would have seen those photographs. They didn't show you those photographs. because they don't exist. They don't exist. Apart from his word, there's absolutely no evidence that Relly ever photographed a single camera at the scene. And that's because the last thing he wanted was for the police to see what was actually happening with these altercations. And listen, folks, I have to say this to you. I just hope I haven't taxed your patience by my persistence and my zeal. Yeah, I've never learned how to talk about human liberty or human faith concisely or complacently. I just don't have that ability. I just don't have that talent. And I know I'm covering a lot of material here, but I don't know like what you need here, what you don't need here. I don't know, if I'm going through something you're like, yes, you know that already, Mr. Beck. I know you can't say it to me, but I just can't sit down with all that's on the line here and thinking I didn't cover something. So please bear with me. I know this is a long process, but this is my last chance to speak to you. And again, there's just so much riding on this that I just can't be brief. I can't cut corners here. So please accept my apology that I'm going on, but it's important to him. And I just don't know what's important for you guys. So please. So the one on Argyle Avenue, each of those two instances, the one on Argyle Avenue, the other one on the corner of East Del Mar, Relly was expressing both his anger, jealousy, and hate. And followed through on his threat just a few weeks before about, I'm going to beat that end up. Relly's testimony about his expectations on the way to meet Rocky was clear, and he was looking for a plan. And to use Relly's words, he thought if there was going to be an altercation, quote, there would be a bit of rough. In fact, although he again first tried to hide behind another one of his I don't recalls, he then admitted under oath that when men are angry, they fight. That's what he was saying. When men are angry, they fight. And despite his initial effort to make you believe otherwise, on November 6, 2021, we now know he was angry. He saw that anger on display. During the opening statement, the prosecution said that you see on video Mr. Mayers immediately is aggressive toward Mr. Efron. They showed you that Rocky is pushing Efron backwards as he pushes him off camera out of view. Well, let's see if that plays out. I'm going to show you this video. You can see for yourself, the first one reaching out is Efron. He's the first one to make physical contact with Rocky with his left hand. And you also heard that from Charlie. He was there. Boom. And Rocky's right hand's not even up yet. He then puts it up. And as Strobe told you, consistent with that video, it was Relly who grabbed him first. And in fact, Relly realized his actions in this video were a problem for him. So although he first testified that he was a lefty while watching himself in this video, he grabbed Rocky with his left hand, he suddenly switched to being a righty. I don't remember that testimony. He said, I'm a righty. You could always ask for a rematch. He switched from being a lefty to a righty. He said, I can see I was stopping a little. Like I said, I'm a righty. But your left-handed or right-handed is not one of those things you forget. It's not one of those things you mix up. Why lie about that? Why try to minimize? Because the video showed him doing that, what you just saw, being the first aggressor, the one to make contact first. And despite the prosecution's promise about that video, it does not show Rocky as the one who is the aggressor or immediately grabs Relly. It doesn't. And what else does it show you? It does not show you the prosecution promised it to show you, which is Rocky pushing Relly off the screen. It shows the opposite, and I'm going to show you what I mean. You've all seen and heard about how much bigger and stronger Relly is than Rocky. Not a fact in dispute. Consistent with that, 12 told you that Relly was pulling Rocky off the screen. But you know who else told you that? Relly told you that. He told you I was pulling him. That's his testimony. For his standard operating procedure, when I first asked Relly if he was pulling Rocky back, he said he didn't recall, he didn't know. Then, after being impeached with his prior testimony once more, he heard his answer. He was walking in, I tried pulling him back. That's really at the preliminary hearing. He tried pulling him back, and that's what he's doing on the video. He's pulling Rocky back. During their opening statement with respect to the first incident, the prosecution also noted that Rocky produced a similar amount of pistols and pointed at Relly and said, "I'm going to kill you." Let's break that down and see what the evidence really shows. First of all, the object was not a semi-automatic pistol, it was a prop gun. That's pretty clear from the evidence. Not only witness testimony, the fact that there's no evidence of a shooting. But beyond that, Rocky certainly did not point at Relly. The video shows that, and Twelby told you that. In fact, based on Relly's own testimony, the object was put away when two people walked by on the street. And as a result of that, whatever Relly claims Rocky did with it, while they were off camera to the right, meaning inside that parking garage, you know that's a problem for them because they were off camera in the parking garage for only seconds, 3 seconds. Not long enough for Relly to just happen to him what he described happened to him. What's the evidence show about this? That he again lied to you, changed the story about what happened in that insert of the parking garage that's on camera. He testified here, he said, Relly said that Rocky just pointed the object at his head and his stomach, nothing more. He denied here that there was any physical contact with his body and the object. He denied that. But when he spoke to the district attorney about this in that prior recorded statement in 2022, he gave a completely different version. He said that Rocky actually pressed the barrel of the gun against his stomach and pushed. Why give a different version of this court? Because when we talk about this, when you're lying, sometimes you just can't keep it straight. The truth never changes. In that regard, remember what Relly first said to the desk officer, Kirk Anderson, one of the last witnesses for the prosecution, maybe the last, when he reported this incident on November 8th, 2 days later. Officer Anderson told you that Relly said Rocky pulled out the gun from 5 to 10 feet away as he was approaching. We know that didn't happen. And that's 2 days later. The video doesn't show that happening, but of course, Relly first reported this incident. He didn't know that there was video. In other words, Relly could not say whatever he wanted to say, as he thinks. But he stopped from trying. Then he said that Rocky said during this incident, "I'm going to kill you right now." That was his word to you all. "I'm going to kill you right now." Now, folks, if someone says that to you, you're not likely to forget those words. That's going to be in your mind's eye for a long time. "I'm going to kill you right now," as they're pointing a gun. You're not going to forget them if they are truthful. If they're truthful. But when I confronted him with his prior statement to the district attorney recorded, so it can be fake, only a year after the incident, in 2022, not 3.5 years later, like the trial testimony, only a year after, what did he say then about this? He told the district attorney on a recorded interview 1 year later. And then Rocky's like, he's saying something I don't remember because it was like a long time ago, and I don't remember what he was saying. First of all, it was a year later, and that was a long time ago. 3.5 years later, he remembers being given a death threat. A year later, he doesn't remember what he was saying because it was a long time ago. Again, the truth is not easy. Sorry, the truth is easy to keep straight. That's the truth. When you're lying, when you're making up stories, you can't remember to lie all the time, and that's when these things happen. So what's Relly's explanation for a completely different answer on that? What's his explanation? Here's his explanation. Here's what he told you all. When I asked him, "I'm getting tired of talking to everyone, bro." That was his answer. "I'm getting tired of talking to everyone." You said Rocky said he's going to kill you to disturb you. A year after this incident, you said, it was too long ago, you don't remember what he said. What's the story, Mr. Efron? "I'm getting tired of talking to everyone, bro." That's the answer. Just give me my 30 million, my 30 M's. I gotta get out of here. I want to talk about this. This is the man they want you to believe beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think we know from using our God-given common sense, the truth doesn't keep changing. It doesn't keep changing. You don't get inconsistent versions of the truth. You don't need to memorize the truth. And one last thing on this point, that first incident. You heard Twelby explain how he believed, it was his observations, how he believed the prop gun came into Rocky's hand during that first altercation. Hey, anyway, the 12 would have looked like was that Rocky's sweatpants were falling down, and you actually do see that in the video. And then Relly was lifting him off the ground, and you see that. And that Rocky grabbed the prop gun to adjust it, because it had a little clip. That was Twelby's belief on what he saw in that chaotic moment. You have the video to watch for yourself. Along with that video, you have Twelby's testimony, and that makes this clear. Rocky was being strong-armed by Relly. No question about that. You see him being choked at one point by Relly. Twelby pointed out. He was grabbed, he was pulled, he was jostled. And under those circumstances, Rocky's actions in that brief encounter were fully justified. His Honor will be the law on self-defense. He has, you have those sheets there, the jury instructions with you, take back. They have to disprove it beyond the reasonable doubt. They can't do that. That's a very heavy burden to carry. They won't be able to carry it.
Yeah, that's in your pocket. Overall.
And you know who tells you that? Not just the video, not just Twelby, not just the video that you saw, not just Twelby. You know who else tells you it was self-defense? Relly. When Relly was talking to Wally Sajecki, at a time he didn't think he was being recorded. Remember the report is called fake. Here's what he said.
He tried to test bomb me. He tried to test bomb me and then pull out a gun for self-defense.
Well, so the guy wanting 30 million, the quote-unquote complaining witness in this case, the victim, is saying that he pulled out a gun for self-defense. But somehow you are supposed to believe he wasn't in self-defense. That's his words. That was Twelby's words, and the video shows that. That's it. That's it. Their own so-called victim saying Rocky acted in self-defense. How could they prove otherwise beyond a reasonable doubt? They cannot. One last thing on this one. You watch the video, Rocky held the prop gun in his non-dominant left hand. Her testimony, Rocky's right. The entire time it's his left hand. Obviously, it was never meant to be more than anything but a deterrent. That thing is in his left hand all the time. Now, unfortunately, Relly wasn't deterred there. We heard about that after the first incident. We heard what happened. He followed Rocky, Twelby, and Hills all the way down to Argyle Avenue, around the corner to Selma, and then to East Selma. Of course, when I questioned Relly about whether he followed them, he told you that he didn't. His answer was negative. Negative. So I tried to impeach him with this prior testimony, asking whether he just said it was incorrect that he followed him. Then what did Relly do? He became belligerent with me, asking me, when was that? What are you talking about? Because you tripped me. Like, I don't understand. That was his answer to me. Relly understood full well what was happening. They understood full well what was happening. Because when I tried to question Relly about this, there was an objection saying that the word following was vague. Following was vague. Anyone in this courtroom not understand the word following? Don't shield a witness like that. Relly said that previously under oath. They knew that. And despite efforts, you hear that. Relly, you heard it yourself. Relly testified previously after the altercation by the parking garage that he followed Rocky, Twelby, and it was followed. So why did Relly and the prosecution fight so hard to appear in that? because they knew that's not the act of a victim.
Yeah, that's improper. Over.
And certainly not the one who claims to have just been knowingly assaulted with a real gun. That's not the act of a victim. That alone, folks, is another reasonable doubt. That puts the nail in the coffin in this case. That is not the action of the victim. Following someone who just pulled the gun upon you, going to the face, recollection, and you know it's a real gun, you're following them. Not only follow them, verbally assaulting them as you follow them. We'll talk about that again soon, but right now remember what Relly did as he followed Rocky Shelby Mills. Relly was livid the entire time. He told you that, as a matter of fact. He was ready to hit 12, he said. Ready to hit 12. But only after answering, this is my favorite, honestly. Were you ready to hit 12? Correct. The court said, yes, no, I don't remember. I don't know. The court was giving them options. The witness's answer was to, are you ready to hit 12? Was yes, no, I don't recall. I don't know. Yes, no, I don't recall. I don't know. So, this is a game. Again, I remind everyone. This is their only complaining witness, their only witness to the events of that night, taking the witness stand, making serious accusations against somebody that have serious ramifications. You need to, and you get to assess his credibility. This man can give you a straight answer, not without having pulled from him, not without having the court admonish him. I mean, do you remember this one? He's telling me what to do. Literally, he was telling me what to do as I'm trying to question him. That's why he was on the witness stand for 5 days. And the court one point said, no, don't tell Mr. Packman what to do. His job is to ask you questions. Your job is to answer questions. I mean, the guy was instructing me how I should ask or what I should be doing on the while I'm questioning as he's on the witness stand. In any event, Relly openly admitted that he was ready to hit 12. And after initially denying it, Relly also admitted he told the district attorney on 2022 and 2022 that he hated ills. Here we all love ills, I told you. He told the DA 1 year later, I hated ills. Hated. So with that hatred festering in him, he followed Rocky, 12 and ills, and he screamed at all. And why did he do that? Why did he follow them all? Remember what he said about that? Because 12 put a knife away. That's why I thought. First of all, that doesn't make sense in any world. According to Relly, he decided to follow someone who he claimed had a gun and threatened to kill him because he saw a knife being put away. That's why he said he followed. That defies common sense. Second, you heard from Officer Anderson, who testified in the trial at the end that he was the guy who was lucky enough to receive the letter on November 8th, 2021, and heard him say, well, he never mentioned anything about a knife when he first reported this case, never. In fact, according to Officer Anderson, Relly told him that 12 actually tried to de-escalate the situation. That's what Officer Anderson said Relly told him 2 days later. And third, beyond that, you heard from 12 himself. And he told you it wasn't true, he didn't carry a knife. And we don't believe, is there any real question about which of them is more believable, Relly or 12? You get to assess their credibility. Their credibility is based on everything. The way they answer questions. Did they get court-martialed? Were they impeached? Were they inconsistent? How was their demeanor? Relly didn't follow Rocky 12 Mills because he saw a knife. He did it because he was angry and jealous. He did it because he wanted revenge. You heard what he was yelling at as he was following him. He told Ills he was a crackhead. You heard that Ills does have some serious problems with that. You heard he said, 12 you live in the projects, mocking that whole kid. Like, how horrible. You're not as successful as me. You live in projects. And that Rocky had failed us all. Think about that last line. Rocky failed us all. Like, he was his ward. That last line shows you there's no question of his anger and resentment. And the second altercation, and those negative feelings came to a boiling point when Relly and everyone else reached that corner of East Delmar. According to them, when they reached the corner of East Delmar, Rocky just turned around and started firing. For no reason. He just started firing. And then Relly used Ills as a human shield, he said. The evidence shows you that's absolutely not what happened. The entire time that Relly was following Rocky, Rocky was trying to get away from him. He was verbally assaulting Rocky. Rocky never said a word. Not a word, you heard that. Relly even told you that, 12 even told you that. He was just the first one walking away. It was Relly who was acting crazy and screaming before the 12 years. So why would Rocky suddenly go from 0 to 100 for no reason at all and just shoot him? He wouldn't, he didn't, and it doesn't make sense. But what does make sense is what you saw for yourself on the video that we're going to show you again. And what do you see for yourself on the video? What 12 explained. That Relly was looking for a fight, as he already said. That he attacked Ills. And that Rocky fired a warning shot with a pop gun in self-defense and defense of another. And the prosecution played you a video called the sequence surveillance video. I'm going to show you that video at the end. Which placed the first shot from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard video over the 1660 East Delmar video. Before Relly grabbed Ills. That video placed the first shot before Relly grabbed Ills. That was meant to be stitched, because that did not happen that way. That's not what happened. You heard from Detective Flores on this. That sequence surveillance video, that's what it was called, sequence surveillance video, it was made by hand, so the cursor bouncing around there. And it was a rough approximation, his word, rough approximation of what happened. Rough. Where every second here counts. That's a rough approximation. So when you try to put the sound into the video, it was a rough approximation. No. Rough approximation is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Detective. He also told you the first shot depicted would have actually occurred at a later point if the 6200 Hollywood video was fast. And what did we see the other day when he was testifying, when I cross-examined him? We looked at that video in real time, and it was really fast. It was fast. Like the floor said, oh yeah, one thing says 9 seconds, one says 8, you're right. So we know the sequence surveillance video is wrong. In fact, the detective Flores went distance himself from it. He said, I was the one who made it. I didn't make it. Well, who did? I don't just believe Detective Flores. I know he didn't make it, but who did? Where did it come from? You were never told that. No one told you how they made it. That rough approximation that turned out pretty long. We just threw it together, hoping that would be sufficient, and that we'd all accept that as the video with the sound, and that's the time. Hoping no one would notice the action. We did. That's what they're trying to pass off as evidence in a crucial issue in this case. Did Rocky fire before or after Relly lunged at Ills? Because that kind of changes Rocky's mindset at that moment. The prosecution wants you to believe Rocky shot first. For no reason, out of the blue. And that Relly then dove for Ills as a human shield. That's not what happened. You heard from 12B, who looked at the enlarged video that we introduced. The one with the first shot happening after Relly lunged for Ills, after Relly hit Ills multiple times. And 12B told you, he narrated that video what actually happened. You have your eyes, you see Rocky's arm go out with that first shot. And that's when the first shot is. It's well after Relly's in full-blown attack mode on Ills. And 12B told you what happened. When the prosecution cross-examined him, they did everything possible to not let him explain what happened. Yelled at him, demanded yes, no answers. They berated him. Anything but let him explain. They did that with 12, a compliant witness, a respectful witness, over and over. But when I asked a question of Relly, I got speeches, insults, not answers, but I didn't cut him off. I didn't demand yes or no. If he wanted to tie the noose on his own neck, let him keep going. But they kept cutting 12 you off because they didn't want you to hear what really happened.
No, that's improper argument. Fair comment of the other.
From a witness who's actually seen. That's why the prosecution and their case detectives didn't even try to speak to 12 for 3.5 years. They knew who it was. They knew where he lived. 3.5 years they didn't try to speak to 12. Yeah, two weeks before the trial started, or no, sorry, not even. As the trial started, they asked in court with the judge, do you want to speak to us? He said, nah, I'm good. Okay, the trial had already started. He was a witness. 3.5 years, they didn't even think to reach out. But they tried to make it think otherwise. They asked Detective Flores on the rec whether 12 would agree to an interview. Detective Flores said no. That was it. No. Which would leave you with an impression I would understand that 12 was not cooperative. He didn't want to speak to him. What you learned on cross-examination that Detective Flores only first tried to speak to 12 a couple of weeks ago in 2025. Come on. I asked Detective Flores, is January 2025 the first time you tried to interview 12 about what happened on November 6, 2021? His answer was, correct. Me personally, yes. So I had to follow up that one with you personally. You say you personally. How about anyone else from the police department? His answer was, no, that would be the first time. I mean, Detective Flores seriously think I was just asking about him personally? Of course not. That was devastating for them. So I had to go through 3 layers of that. Oh, here it would be. We're putting it up in that. Who by it? It was off. It's a nice beach. It was a beach anyway, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't prove it.
There it is.
Okay, that's so no one thinks I'm mistaken. Yep, that's what he said. 12 would agree to be interviewed by you, and you said no, he wouldn't. Remember? Yes. Are you referring to 2 weeks ago in court here? Yes. Is that the first time you tried to interview him? Yes. So in January 2025 is the first time you tried to interview 12 about the incident that occurred on November 6, 2021? Correct. Me personally, yes. How about anyone else from your police department? Yes. No. That would be the first time. Correct. Why didn't I bring that out on cross? Come on. Search for the truth. Why is that all coming out on the record? As opposed to leaving with the impression if I decided not to get up and cross-examine, or I was asleep, you'd be left the impression, fairly, that 12 was not compliant, he wasn't cooperative, he didn't want to speak, but he refused to be interviewed. That's not the case, as you say. In any event, 12 told you what happened. His testimony is consistent with what's seen on that video. Look, that's defense exhibit TE, and I will say this, thank God there's a video. Thank God there's a video, he's still on. Before you play it, hold on. When I was listening to this long summation, the first summation that they get, it was as if he never saw this video. This is the exact right time of what happened. Based on the video, based on 12B's testimony, based on the Detective Flores saying that their video was a second too fast. You see those throwing haymakers in this video. Haymakers is an expression, just punches. Repeated, and show it to you. Then Mr. President said in his opening statement, in his opening summation, that I said in my opening that I promised you I was gonna bring in pictures of ills to show you. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't make promises I can't keep. And I promise you, I never said that in my opening statement. As a matter of fact, they get to go again. I will not object if they put my opening statement up.
No, that's improper, Art. Here's the sustained. That's sustained.
Show me anywhere where I promised pictures of ills. I never did. But that was argued to you yesterday. And why would they take pictures of Bill's bloody lip on November 6, 2021, just in case there was a trial in 2025? Okay, let's watch that defense exhibit EE. You'll see everything totally described in the video. That Relly acted as the aggressor, that he repeatedly hit Ills. Only after that, Rocky tried to defend Ills by firing the first warning shot. Sergeant Cook sort of suggests on the body cam. You see his arm extending to fire the props when you hear the sound. It's clear and obvious. You had a live witness who was also there. Let's look at it now. This is the REE. There's Rocky, there's 12E, there's Ills, and then there's Relly. And you see him going after, then boom. Second shot. You see Relly still going after Ills. Still going after Ills. Rocky's gone. 12 is about to go. Ills is stuck in the upper left-hand corner there. Watch Relly go back after him one more time left before he goes right. Ills running away, he falls. And then Relly goes off to the right. Now, we have to break that down a little slower, just very fast what happens. Again, guys, when you're deliberating, you get to see this. So take it back in the room with them? Yeah?
What?
Does this get to go back in the room with them? Video?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So, you can see as much as you want, as long as you want, as slow as you want, as fast as you want. But look, that didn't stop Relly. I'm not done with that yet. What you see is him repeatedly hitting Ills, move towards Shelby, and try to hit it. And look, you see Relly literally cocking his arm back and slugging Ills. I'm going to try and show it to you here. I'm going to get that pointer. I'm going to sit in this chair so I don't block you all in the back. Can everyone back there see? Yep, and the big head. Okay. Wow. Be gentle on the screen. There's Rocky, there's 12B, there's Ills, and there's Relly. And boom, he's going after him. Look at him, he's tussling him. There's the first shot. There's the second. And look at his arm going back and forth here. Can you go back for a second, guys? Look, you see the arm going back and forth. Go back one more time, guys. A little further. Please, thank you. Watch his arm. Boom, and you see the head of Ills there, going back and forth. And why does 12 tell you he ran? One more time, guys, please. He said he sees Relly coming at him, and he has that something hernia, renal hernia, whatever that is, and he couldn't fight. Watch. He's right there. Then he sees him coming, and he runs because he can't fight. Look, it's over. Why is he still fighting? And he just knocks those down. DA cuts off this part. Boom. One more. Good graces, and then he goes to the right and leaves. Well, the good news is you get to take that back in the video. The jury I know that. So that's good. You can see as many times as you want. Whatever speed you want. Stop wherever you want. I encourage you to do that. That's the fence exhibit EE. That's the right time. You see, Jack, we do one more time, just that shot part. It's out, it's what Charlie told you, but again, you have eyes. Rocky's arm goes like that. That's where the shot is. I really described that. That's what he's doing. He's shooting down himself. It's after Relly attacks him. Boom, he's hitting Ills. Boom, and you hear the shot. and gentlemen, there's no real question that Relly was the aggressor here. The video from 1616 Visa Del Mar makes that perfectly clear. Perfectly clear. The real video, not the rough one that was off by a second, that makes the shooting all look ridiculous. I mean, their video, you hear a shot, and then Rocky shoots. That's the video that captures what happened. Totally narrated for you, your eyes can tell you. He wasn't using Hills as human shield. He wasn't underneath or behind Hills. He was on top of Hills. That's not how to use a human shield. And 12, he told you that he told Rocky to leave because of the noise, because of his status as a high-profile person. And Rocky ultimately left, but still, after that, Relly continued to attack Hills. They, as I mentioned to you, they cut off their video, so you didn't see that anymore. Hopefully, don't know. So let's play their video real quick. Can we play this? This is their video. Watch what's cut off at the end. Rocky's going. 12, he said he's checking to make sure it was okay. Then he runs. That's it. 1616 Visa Del Mar. 1616 Visa Del Mar is cut off. Go back one more time, just where it gets cut off. Combined surveillance video. That's the one. What you know happens next is Relly, they're out of the picture now. Relly goes back and hits Hills again. 12 describe it for you. Why did that not make it into this video? Go ahead. Boom. And I think this chair is little. There's a nail sticking out, by the way. Just so you know.
That wasn't me.
I know that wasn't you, John. That one I don't blame. Is there a bill I can send for this suit that you sent? Literally, is a nail sticking out. Anyway, don't worry about it. Don't be sitting there. Not good. Okay. Anyway, the video, folks, the video itself by itself is reasonable doubt. It's a reasonable doubt in this case. Another reasonable doubt. It just makes clear that their case is not over water, that Relly was the aggressor, that Rocky acted justifiably in self-defense bills. Even though he was carrying a pop gun, his Hills would be dead. That was a real gun on that second shot. And again, Judge David trusts no self-defense. I have to discuss it with you. What matters is the defendant's perspective is what matters. And what he thought was right at the time. Judge David trusts on that, reasonableness and all that stuff. You have to listen to that. The prosecution must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did not act reasonably, Rocky. It has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did not act in self-defense of another. If you have any questions in your mind as to whether he acted in self-defense or defense of another, if you have some doubt or some concern that he just may have acted in defense of himself or another, you have to stop. Not guilty.
It's what I'm stating in the law. It's just it's true.
Does it say you are?
Yes, it's
I'm sorry?
it's what you said. It's not accurate. Here's a jury instruction that's already been given to you, and this applies to everybody. You must follow the law as I explained it to you, even if you disagree with it. If you believe that the attorney's comments on the law conflict with my instructions, you must follow my instructions.
But I think I understand what Mr. Lewin's objection was. He actually was right. I said some doubt. It's not some doubt. It's a reasonable doubt.
That is right.
It's a reasonable. Okay, there we go. Thank you. No swap. So if you have a reasonable doubt that he may have acted in self-defense of another, you have to stop. Okay? And the judge, again, will define to you what that is. Even if you get that far, because you should, because the evidence is overwhelming, that's fine. there's a possibility he acted in self-defense, you must find nothing. Rocky, now we gotta address this, Rocky didn't testify in this case. And you heard the judge's instructions about that the defendant has a constitutional right not to testify. We spoke to some jury selection about that. And that decision is not to be considered during your deliberations. With that said, during your deliberations, keep in mind that there was nothing more said than what was already explained to you by both our witnesses, who were berated and yelled at for a long time, hours. You heard from 12B, who explained what happened that night, and Rocky carrying the prop gun. You heard from Lou Levin, who explained how Rocky got possession of the prop gun, why he carried it, and where it went. There was really nothing more, aside from the video of 12B and Lou, for Rocky to have added to the truth about
Well,
it.
that's an improper argument. It's just a-
Well, look, by the way, with regards to 12B and Lou, you heard people say, and I expect they will say it again, the first time that we mentioned the prop gun was during this trial. This Detective Flores' testimony when they tried to ask him that or suggest that this had just come up. Question to Detective Flores. No deposition, criminal case is correct, okay. Question. So basically, what you were being asked are questions related to discovery disclosure in a criminal case. And he said, yes. Okay. So these discovery related matters, and because they didn't receive discovery notice, is not the same as it just surfaced at trial. Like it was just invented. That's not true. Lou and 12B Code, they told us about this last year. And of course, Detective Flores told you law enforcement didn't have a chance to speak to Rocky after he was arrested. And of course, there's no idea.
That mistakes here.
No, who didn't say they had a chance to.
Do not debate.
I just said mistakes the evidence.
As I said yesterday, I don't know what the evidence is. I don't think anybody remembers every word of every witness. If this is something significant, as I mentioned yesterday, you can ask the court reporter to read it back. The court reporter will have every word that has been spoken. Go ahead.
And of course, Detective Flores had no idea what was said by Rocky, whose attorneys back in 2022 when he was arrested. And ever since.
That's also an improper argument to rule aside the evidence.
In any event, there's absolutely nothing new, as they're trying to suggest. And look, they also brought up something that I now have to address, that Rocky had an outburst, so to speak, in trial. Okay? Knowing that he's innocent, he had to sit here and listen for more than 3 weeks, listening to relevant.
This is an improper argument.
No, it's addressing what Mr. Krisloman had brought up in his argument. Overruled.
He had to sit here for more than 3 weeks, listening to Relly say the most horrific, most offensive things about him in messages, calling him horrific names. He didn't say a word. He sat in silence. Always composed and respectful to this court and to you all. At some point during a minor, unrelated question, unrelated to November 6, 2021, Ms. Loon was asking 12B the meaning of an acronym in Rocky's bedroom. Rocky did something was a crime. He said, don't say. What does that do with his kids? It was personal to his children. And he asked not to say, okay. He regrets doing that?
Your Honor, there's no evidence in this.
Can you read that back?
Mr. Young was asking for the meaning of the acronym. And Rocky did something that it was private. Said, don't say it, it had to do with his kid. It was personal to his children. He asked him not to say it. The jury heard what the question was.
The jury heard what Mr. Mayers said. Leave it at that.
That had absolutely nothing to do with facts of this case. The truth, what happened on November 6, 2021, whether he carried a prop gun, he didn't commit a crime. The fact that they actually argued that to you in their summation is indicative of just how desperate they are. That was something worth mentioning to you in their summation. Let's talk about the crime of extortion by relative. That was actually proven in this trial.
Your Honor, that's improper argument. Overall, for legal conclusion, crime.
Overruled.
That's why Rocky told Relly in a text message that night, go to the police. Go to the police. But Relly didn't, not until he got civil lawyers 2 days later, because it was never his intention to go to the police. You've heard that loud and clear. Instead, his end game was always to take Rocky's money based on false accusations. That was always his intention. And that's why that night, instead of getting the police involved, Relly, according to him, with his shell casing that he claims he found, texted the photos of his shell casings and knuckle scrapes to Rocky's manager, John Heyman, saying he was going to be rich. And that following message was sent to his own business partner, Justin Benea, saying, I want to get this end's money within minutes. That was in his mind. And you heard Relly complain in bitterness how Rocky didn't give him opportunities. So when the opportunity presented himself on November 6th, 2021, Relly jumped all over. Right from the beginning, Relly tried to get Rocky's money. Right from the beginning, without going to the police, without even going to a civil lawyer. So you heard from his own mouth what he knew that to be. Words so catastrophic to his claims in this case that his immediate reaction was to lie and say the tapes were fake. Fake! Get those away from me. You have to tell me more. Fake! But
So you hold him because we were presenting fake evidence to you, yes or no? I don't know. This is a wonderful. Just advise you guys to keep playing fake audio to him and like fake stuff. I never said none of that to him. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't fit in with his tapes. You're trying to slip it in. Okay, stop. All right, let's get the question.
fake audio tapes. The fake audio tapes that the district attorney did yesterday with the Terrell F. name, that's all his quotes. And if Terrell F. was sitting here yesterday, he'd be screaming, those are fake! During Mr. Brzonowic's summation. I heard Mr. Brzonowic's say in his summation, who cares what he said to Wally? Who cares? He did forget the import of that conversation, that he committed perjury to you and said that they were fake when they were real. And you know, during the cross-examination of Wally, the guy flew from Paris, by the way, honestly, because he had to be here. Okay, literally a 13-hour flight to testify, and then take another 13-hour flight back. And the question was, you flew business class, didn't you? Like, as if that were the reason he took 26 hours of plane to get here to testify. I had him on direct examination for 10 minutes, because he was here for two things. Do you know anything about this case? I know nothing about this case. Good. Is this tape real? Did you make it? And is that your voice? And is that Rose's voice? Yes, it is. Bye-bye. Have a good flight back. Nope. 2.5 hours on cross-examination. But you know what was never asked on cross-examination? Not even once. Is the tape fake? Is the tape fake? Did you doctor the tape? Not even once. By the way, the tape they spent, I don't know, the portion of the summation playing for you yesterday, we provided to them. We provided them that tape. That they think it's so helpful for them. They know those tapes are death. Death to their case. First of all, their main witness once again committed perjury on a most important issue in this case. Those are fake. He said fake. Get those away. He's a clown. Those tapes are death to Relly's claim and his credibility in their case. As Wallace and Jimmy made clear that anything but fake, you heard Relly tell him that you ask for a bag without a lawyer, bro, it's called extortion.
You know what I'm saying? You ask for a bag without a lawyer, bro, it's called extortion. You feel me?
But that's exactly
You
what
do
Relly,
everything accordingly.
that's exactly what Relly did. Because he didn't have a lawyer until November 8th, 2021. After he already tried to ask for money from Rocky and his manager. And after Relly lied about what he just told Wallace and Jimmy, we called Mrs. Jimmy just to establish the authenticity of those recordings. Nothing more. He knew nothing about this case. And because of the evidentiary rules, we were only allowed to ask Mrs. Jimmy about statements that Relly denied making.
No, that is untrue.
So we had those 5 questions that we had. Did he say this? Did he say this? Did he say this? That's prosecution played other parts of the recordings afterwards. And it was not a gotcha moment. It's repeating those things. At the time of their discussions, remember this, the Wallace and Jimmy discussions, that was in 2022, after Rocky's arrest already, after he filed his civil suit. Well, they were about the events of November 6, 2021. There were of no significance at all what Relly said to him at that point regarding November 6th at all, because he had already been arrested, Rocky. Relly had already been telling his story for months. His fabricated story for months. So that he said it to Wally on a tape makes it more true. If you tell a lie 100 times, it doesn't make it more true. So in an effort to give weight to that story about the incident, those recordings, they played. Rocky was already arrested and he had already had a civil suit, claiming permanent disabilities from a bullet wound, and he needs $30 million. That was his story by then. Big deal, he said to Wally, in part. He still had no qualms lying to Wally at all on those recordings. When it suited him, of course, telling Wally that he was a millionaire and he made Rocky's career, that was on those recordings too. That wasn't true, neither of those things. But when Relly didn't lie about, however, what he didn't lie was about his intention to take Rocky's money, which is why he falsely said the recordings were fake. He knew what was coming. And he just said, I say they're fake, they can't play it. They're fake, get those away from me. Tell the words, get away from me. So Wallace Jr. was an IP guy who came for one reason, authenticate tape, period, end of story. First question I asked him, do you know anything about the facts of this case? No, I don't. He was not brought in here to talk about the facts of this case. But the prosecution, in 2.5 hours of cross-examination, asked him about his motives for making the tape. Is he better friends with Rocky? That's not being a very good friend to Relly. It doesn't matter what he made the tape. Who cares? He could have, whatever his motives were, who cares? He made the tape. It was real. Those were really Relly's words that he said were fake. Whatever his motive was is irrelevant. Even if he wanted to help Rocky, he told you that's how it was, that Relly was trying to get involved and he was forward and whatever. But whatever his motives were, does it make the tape less real? Or Relly's statements less real? He was never asked one thing about those recordings being real, of course, which means they accept the fact that their witness committed perjury to you when he said they're fake.
That's improper argument, totally.
Fair comment on yours.
That should be offensive. And especially to you, the jury, trying to make a decision of such importance in this case. It's a lot on your shoulders. That should be, you should be offended by that, I would say. So what did Relly tell us on those messages? It was early text messages to Rocky when his manager, when they were trying to get money before his lawsuit. that he never cared about the police, he still doesn't care about the police. Quote, the end game, I'm suing the shit out of him. That's my end game regardless. I don't give a F about no police, and those are his words on the page. In fact, Relly only went to the police after his effort to extort Rocky failed, and Relly's civil lawyer said, unless you go to the police, I'm not taking your case. That's why Relly showed up at the police station in Hollywood with a civil lawyer standing next to him 2 days later. What victim of a crime was a police station report a crime with an attorney next to him? Judge, want to do it now? Sure.
If you have 2 more minutes,
Right,
you do that, otherwise you
sure,
can bring,
sure. Yep.
say again?
I'll do 2 more minutes, just tell me when to stop.
Then we're gonna take.
Yeah. As a quick aside, you heard, by the way, the prosecution questioned Relly about telling the police he heard 3 to 4 shots, but only giving them 2 shell casings before having seen the videos, as if somehow that makes him more credible. That makes no sense. He was there, of course. He knew he was 2 shots. By this time, he already saw the video. He knows it's 2 shots. And in fact, he would exaggerate when speaking to the police. Does not make him more credible. By the way, when we talked to Wally, he had up to 5 shots. He had up to 5 shots when we talked to Wally. So before Relly went to the police, even before he went to a civil lawyer, you saw the messages he sent trying to get Rocky's money. Part of his plan to extort Rocky, Relly sent a text message to him, falsely accusing Rocky of trying to kill him. Obviously, Rocky knew that was false and was shocked that Relly would even make a claim, so which is why Rocky wrote him back, I tried to lie. Stop making shit up, he wrote him back. And now the prosecution has alluded to the fact that during this trial, Rocky didn't mention in his message anything about his pop gun. They don't consider one thing, though, about that. They don't consider one thing. Unlike Relly, Rocky didn't have a reason at the time he sent that message about stop making shit up. He didn't have a reason at the time, or think he needed a reason, to create a record of events for some later date. At the time he sent those messages, Rocky thought they were between the 2 of them. And he knew why Relly understood his thing wasn't true, because it wasn't true. Rocky didn't shoot him, and was aware that Relly knew he didn't shoot him, because a shotgun doesn't shoot bullets. A Star pistol doesn't shoot bullets.
Detective,
Yes, sir.
stop.
Okay.
You want to finish the thought?
If I could, just a thought.
Finish the thought, and then we'll take the.
And then that's a perfect place to break. And that's why after learning soon thereafter that Relly was contacting his manager trying to extort money from him, Rocky was done communicating with Relly. He stopped answering completely and said, go to the police. And what kind of person tells someone to go to the police if they know they've committed a crime? Tell someone to go to the police if they know they've committed a crime. Your Honor, I could resume from here and come back.
All right, we'll take a break until 11 o'clock, folks. Please don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or anybody else. And we'll see you in 15 minutes.
Here's a quote on an objection you overruled. The prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. It's improper, it's unethical, you said you're not going to tolerate it, and I object, and you make it clear to the jury that my objection you find annoying. It's very clear that the tone that we get when we make an objection that should be sustained is, what are you doing? That's what was said. You specifically...
Lower your voice and don't yell at me. I told you before, I'll listen to what you say, speak in a normal tone of voice.
Judge, we're doing the best we can to make sure that this trial is ethically conducted. They have repeated, I've objected, you told them it's improper. You've overruled repeated objections where they are saying improper things. He just said a moment ago, this is a direct quote, the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. I object. You respond, that's appropriate comment on the evidence. It is not appropriate comment on the evidence, Your Honor. I don't know, you didn't hear it?
I didn't hear that.
So Judge,
what I heard, I could have been wrong, what I heard was that Mr. Tacopina was describing Relly as committing perjury.
Judge, that's a direct quote. The direct quote was, the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. Here's another one. Relly committed extortion. There is no legal.
Do you think the jury's gonna ask for what the legal description of extortion is?
Your Honor.
Forcing someone to pay money, that is quote extortion.
Your Honor.
Forget, go on to something else.
No, I wanna make my record. I mean, you're gonna do what you're gonna do, but I have a right to make my record. No lawyer can get up here, no lawyer can get up here and tell the jury that a crime has been committed when there is no instruction on that crime. When in fact, Your Honor, that's not the legal definition of extortion. We've objected, and the court again is basically telling me, don't worry about it, it doesn't matter. Your Honor, it does matter. After a while, when there are so many of these things, they add up. And when the court is saying, well, what do they don't care about it?
No, I didn't say they don't care about it.
It seems, Your Honor, it's improper argument. And the problem is.
I don't agree with you. I think using the word quote extortion to describe the conduct is not improper. I think it's fair comment on the evidence. You, in your rebuttal argument, you can say it wasn't extortion.
Your
You
Honor,
can address it.
Your Honor, the bigger issue, as I said, is the court was repeatedly told them, do not connect the prosecution to committing crime.
I'll tell you what, I didn't hear that. I'm gonna ask Kathy for the exact quote. If that's what was said, I'm gonna sustain your objection, and I will apologize for overruling.
Judge, can I respond, please, on that one issue, not
Yeah.
everything else you said. What I said was, and I agree with what I said, but understand the context of it, okay? I didn't say this is one purpose, I didn't say it yesterday, I didn't say it today. The one thing I said, and it was fair comment, was the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. What I mean by that is in regards to one thing, and it's indisputable, Your Honor. It was regarding Relly saying the tape was fake. The tape was fake. They got up, cross-examined Mr. Sajemi, did not ask him if the tape was fake or not, okay? They then put up transcripts of that tape recording with attributions to Mr. Efron. So that means just by that very fact, they accept the fact that he committed perjury. I'm not saying they support it, but they accept that witness committed perjury. They have to. Let me finish. There's no other way for them to move forward unless they say that wasn't perjury, but it was because he said that was fake. We know it wasn't fake, it was real, that was perjury. So by then moving forward with it, arguing that the tape is important for the prosecution, that Efron said these things, that when they cross-examined Mr. Sajemi, that wasn't being a good friend, Efron just made a tape. All that is doing is, I'd say it's a warning, it's different. I would never say that, I didn't say it yesterday. What it is doing is accepting it, because they didn't say, we have an issue with this witness, he's committed perjury. I said they accepted their witnesses committing perjury, that witness committing perjury on that one issue. That's fair comment, Your Honor. It's not inappropriate, it wasn't disparaging counsel. I didn't say Mr. Lewin, I just said they accepted, and that is true, that there's no other way around it.
It is not fair comment, it is completely unethical.
I agree with you.
So, Your Honor.
I agree with you.
What's frightening is Mr. Tacopina just stood up here and basically defended, said, yeah, I said it, but I can say it. He doesn't know or care about the law. That is clear. And Your Honor, when it's happened 25 times in this trial, with the hiding of evidence, with the late discovery, and with repeated, you told counsel before we started, do not disparage the other side. I said yesterday, you argue what you want about witnesses. You say a witness lied. You do not disparage counsel. You repeated it yesterday. He tried to explain how he didn't make mistakes yesterday, which he did. Now he gets up and he's now admitted, yes, I made that comment, here's why it's appropriate. Your Honor, it's not appropriate. It's completely unethical. It is immoral, and it's not professional. And again, Your Honor, the fact that he is getting up here and saying, well, yeah, I said it, here's why, just demonstrates again, he doesn't know the law or doesn't care.
You're disparaging him right
I'm disparaging him because, Your Honor, he's not following the
There does not be any disparaging of either side.
during argument. The jury's not here. I have every right, obligation, and duty to stand up here and point out when he was being unethical. The first time the court catches me being unethical, Your Honor, the court knows, that'd be the first time. Court knows, I don't do that.
Oh,
Court knows, court's already made
I've heard enough from both of you. I missed the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. I don't think that's fair comment on the evidence. I think that's an improper statement. It infers that the prosecution is allowing perjury to occur. I'm going to sustain your objection, and I'm going to apologize for overruling it, and then move on. If I were the two of you, I would just move on and not make a, bring it to the jury's attention. I would point out, though, I told you at the beginning of arguments that if an objection is made, I'm going to do my best to call it as I see it. You have made 17 objections. I have overruled 12. I have sustained 5. I'm doing the best I can. I will continue to do the best I can, and that's all I can say.
I just want to put on the record that, these remarks about being unethical, I've just about had it with him. This from a lawyer who, and I just say this on it, this from a lawyer who asked in front of a jury for a stipulation that a shooting range was not in California, when either he knew it was in California or had no idea that it was in California. Okay? So he literally asked for a stipulation in front of a jury that he knew was not true or didn't know if it was true. And that's unethical. That's unethical. And this is a guy who, the Ninth Circuit just said lie to a jury in the Brantford case.
Your Honor,
So I want to hear about him.
one more thing out of him, and we air everything that's happened in this case, which the court's aware of.
Stop.
He might want to stop.
I'm so correct.
You should be, Joe.
Oh, yeah.
Let's take a break.
You should be.
Don't tell the court to pull me out as a liar.
Hold on, hold on. Hey!
Oh, yeah, I'm so scared of you.
Stop it! Knock it off. When I make a mistake, I own it. I have no problem admitting when I made a mistake, and I made a mistake, and I'm going to tell you what the mistake was. Mr. Tagliatelle mentioned, and I missed this, the prosecution accepts their witness committing perjury. I missed that. There was an objection. I overruled it. I didn't hear the whole statement. I'm not accusing anybody of doing it proper, but that statement puts the prosecutors in an unfair light, and that was improper. I overruled the objection. I should have sustained it. I don't want any side being disparaged or being put in a false light. So I made that mistake. I own it. I apologize. Go.
Thank you. Two things. One, I realized something. I said before that Mr. Efron said he'd seen the video previously when he said there were 2 shots. What I was talking about was when he was speaking to Wally. You already seen the video. This was obviously after Rocky's arrest and after the civil suit was filed. So I wasn't suggesting he saw the video when he went to the police on November 8th, in case that came out unclear. I hope that was close. But anyway, now we're back on the Wally's Jenny case. Look, all I'm saying is this. Their witness said those are fake. They played it as if they were real. So, whatever that means. But here, I'm gonna go back to the crux of the Wallace and Jennings case, what we were allowed to play because they impeached the testimony of Efron. And what I argued to you, and I'll say again, is the only crime that was proven here was relative extortion. He heard from his own mouth. And he boasted to Mrs. Jennings that he was getting $30 million. He said, I already know I'm getting 30 M's. And I told you at the beginning of this case, I said in the opening, that there would be clear evidence of extortion, and here it is.
You know what I'm saying? Back when I was lawyer first for extortion, you feel me? He's gonna have to deal with that and his political ties and everything else. Because once I walk away, when I get my cash, the case gets way deeper. It's just like a domestic violence case. If you was to hit your bitch and your bitch was to keep on going through with the situation, you go down. But if you're not there, then you're going against the state and it's way deeper.
Stop for a second before we go to the second one. You know, what he's saying is obviously he's going to trade his cash for the case, some criminal case. So he'll get his cash and he'll disappear. The example he uses, the analogy he uses, is disgusting. Of course, that's who I don't know what front is talking about a domestic violence case. And he references hitting. He says you're a bitch, but that's how his mind thinks. That's his example that he could come up with. But it really just goes to show you who he is and how despicable he is. And that was the example he gave. But what he's saying here is, I get my cash, I'm gone. I get them. Play the next one, please.
If I'm not there, he paid me out through my lawsuit.
Oh.
I'll walk away. Basically, it's gonna be called because I'm on another island. Just relax. You get what I'm saying? They're gonna be scrambling to find me because now they have to go against Rocky, the state. And here they have evidence in this area because it's not gonna be the same when you present it to a jury and you don't have a complaining witness.
That's it. Game, set, and match. That's extortion. That's him trying to sell a criminal case for $30 million. That he will go to an island, be relaxing, if he gets his money. Too bad for them. They'll have to go look for him. They have to find him. Imagine poor Detective Flores having to go search around, looking for Everell Efron as he's on an island sipping pina coladas somewhere for his $30 million. That's it. That's evidence of extortion. It's his mindset. He doesn't care about this. He just wants money. And you're his vehicle. The only reason, and by the way, this transcript's a little tough to read, I think, because I can't see it, but you'll have to go back with you and you'll have the transcripts. But again, remember the only reason he's not on some island somewhere relaxing, and we're all here in the schoolroom, is because Rocky refused to be a victim of his extortion demands. It's that simple. And that's why he's using this trial, really, using these prosecutors. Now he's trying to use you to get him his money. Because he knows that a conviction here will get him what he really wants in this case. That's it. This isn't about justice for him. It's about a payout and a payback. My last quote of some of the greats in our history, using some of the words of our founding fathers, Thomas Jefferson, said an ancient friend is the bitterest of foes. We saw that come here live in color. Lest there be any questions about his true intentions, consider this. He sent an article, you heard this testimony, to Wallace and Jennings on December 24th, 2024, just before this trial started, entitled, Rihanna Fears Heartbreaking Consequence of A$AP Rocky's Trial. And he sent it with a smiley face. A smiley face. This parasite is happy if he can hurt that family, that woman, and her family. by sending a smiley face. Like, that's funny. That's funny. Because she fears the heartbreaking consequences of this trial. So he doesn't care about the trial, he just wants money, he wants to be idle relaxing, and he's laughing and mocking what he can do to Rihanna and and he needs you to get that done. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution has not proven this case, not by a long shot. It's not even, this literally, I'm not telling you what to do, this can be 5 minutes further. You take as much time as you need. I'm not trying to impede on your progress. The only thing proved beyond a reasonable doubt is that this literally is a pathological liar, a perjurer, and an extortionist. That's just been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. And they know that. They know that because they asked Nicholas Flores the question that I just never heard. I used to be a prosecutor. It was a question that they asked.
That's improper argument. Sustained, they know it's perjury. Sustained.
He used to be a prosecutor as well, Your Honor. It's not part of the evidence.
What was the statement?
What?
I'm sorry, what was the statement, sir? What was the statement? I didn't, what part?
That they know it's perjury.
I didn't say they knew. I didn't say they knew. I said what was proven beyond reasonable doubt, because he's had a lot of liars, perjurer, and extortion. Didn't say they knew. I understand the court's rulings.
Yeah, we objected regarding him discussing him being prosecuted.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
All right. So, anyway,
Sustained has to.
what they know, they asked Detective Flores this question. Would you agree, Detective Flores, that you don't need Mr. Efron's truthful testimony to establish shooting occurred? Well, first of all, you do need it. You do. Remember, after breaking it down with Detective Flores, he made it clear to you that nothing without him. We broke it down with him. We'll show you that transcript in a second. So you definitely need him, but it's just not credible. Why the heck do you think they asked that question? I mean, think about what that question screams out to you in the jury. We don't expect you to believe him, ladies and gentlemen. But it's okay. It's still true. No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. If you had to make a decision, the most important in your life or of that of your family is on his word, would you do it? Terrell Brown's word, would you do it? You all put the answer to that question. What you're being asked to do is make that decision in the most important matter in his life, on his word. Please look at the evidence carefully. Please evaluate it cautiously. You'll see that there's not proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Right here, he's innocent. It's not only not that he's innocent. An innocent man's on trial with absolutely no concrete evidence against him, no reliable evidence against him at all. Because he's innocent. He's not the luckiest man for this, he's certain. Because there's absolutely no evidence of shooting. And that heavy burden should not be yours to have to live with on this evidence. It should not be. It's not right, it's not fair. They ask you to do what the evidence won't, condemn an innocent man. And by the way, remember this, it's in your instructions, circumstantial evidence. If the evidence points to both guilt and innocence, you must, there's no option here, you must side with innocence. If there's two interpretations of the evidence, guilt or innocence, you must side with innocence. That's what the law is, the judge. It's in your little books. Jury instructions. You must. It's not an option. Terrell Efron, I mean, what kind of system, seriously, folks, do we have if this kind of witness came to take someone and destroy their life? With all you know about him at this point. I've talked about there not being any forensic evidence in this case, no fingerprints, no DNA, there's none. No independent evidence outside of Terrell Efron. And ladies and gentlemen, the judge told you it only takes one lie under oath to throw this case out of court by you, if you choose. Your decision. But just one lie. It's justification for you to say, I disregard all this testimony. You can't even count the number of lies he told under oath in this case. You can't. He lied directly, he lied to your face, he lied under oath over and over, he exaggerated, he turned around answers to try and avoid questions, he verbally assaulted me, he cursed in the courtroom, he threw a water bottle, flexed his muscles, he said he had enough, he was going to leave. How many does it take for you to know that this case is a fraud? To use Relly's own words, Relly's a fake. And he's just trying to profit off extorting case at Relly. He's just waiting for one thing, your verdict. Then he's got it. And if they come up and say, well, Relly's not on trial, that thought crosses your mind. It's true, he's not on trial. He should be. He should be. Perjury, extortion. But he's not on trial. But what is on trial is his credibility. His credibility is on trial. And that you have to assess, and you get to assess, you must assess. The trial rises and falls on his word. With that in mind, again, I ask, what kind of system do we have if we pick on the word of that man? That man. With all you know about him. The issue in this case is the life, future, and liberty of right. And that's what will be placed in your hands very shortly. And the question I have you before you first said, do you believe Tyrell Efron beyond a reasonable doubt? I'm going to keep saying that because it's really what we need to discuss, beyond a reasonable doubt or not. If you don't, Rocky has to go for it. And go home. He has to. I submit upon this testimony you've heard, the perjury you've witnessed, the lies you've seen, the destruction of pieces of evidence you've observed, fabrication of others, Mr. Efron's trustworthiness, there's no way in the world that you can find that he's trustworthy beyond the reasonable doubt. There's no way. On the important issues in this case. So once you find out. They lied about everything. He lied about the important issues. And if I can't do that, if anything they said to you, if anything they presented to you caused you to pause or wonder what really happened, if you have a doubt, a reasonable doubt, Rocky must be acquitted. He must be. That's our legal system. You just witnessed extortion demands throughout the trial of Efron, the lies, the hiding of evidence, the lie about being in Los Angeles 2 weeks before this incident with 9 million of the shell casings, on and on and on. And if you think he was lying about these important issues, the prosecution's case fails. Fails. So it's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. If you do not believe Tyrell Efron beyond reasonable doubt, he must be acquitted. That's the law. A defendant in a criminal case is presumed innocent until the contrary is proved. In this case, it's not been proved. In the case of reasonable doubt, whether guilt is satisfactorily shown, until it is, he's entitled to prove. And presumption placed upon the people that heavy burden of proving guilt is beyond reasonable doubt. Why is that standard called beyond reasonable doubt? Why? Look, there are many, I just want to give you some sort of analogies on this, but there are many legal systems around the world who don't have this proof beyond reasonable doubt standard. They don't use juries, they use judges 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4. But our country has a philosophy, and that is we cannot convict people who are innocent. We cannot ruin their lives because what happens is so harmful, devastating, brutal, based on anything but the strongest evidence. And what is being attempted here? It's so harmful, so brutal, so potentially devastating to him. That's why there's such a high standard. Standard is higher than what you find in civil cases when you have disputes over money or property. If you have a reasonable doubt about this case, about the testimony, about the double talk, about the lies, the perjury, the manipulation of evidence, the destruction of evidence, Efron's motives, it's over. It's over. You must acquit Rocky. According to the law, it's that strict. Our system isn't perfect. You saw examples of people who were convicted and DNA later exonerates them because well-meaning juries didn't have
This
evidence.
is improper argument.
So you have those verticals. It's like 250 left. And there's nothing to do with this case, right? But it's by jurors who meant well, and they were subsequently exonerated by DNA evidence. Nonetheless, we have a system, and it's the best system in the world. It's the best system in the world here. It can't be perfect because human beings aren't perfect. But I'm begging you to honor that principle. Honor that principle of proof beyond reasonable doubt. Rocky must be acquitted under that standard with all the problems of falsehoods and the issues we've addressed. They cannot overcome them. They cannot overcome them. They can exaggerate. They can clean dirt. They can mock terminology of our witnesses. They can be sarcastic, repeating their unimpeached testimony. They can do whatever they want. They can't prove this case beyond reasonable doubt. This case never should have been brought to begin with, based on Tyrell Efron, what they learned who he was. These are what we call burdens of proof in our legal system. In a civil case, again, dispute over money and property. The one side that proves preponderance of the evidence, that's standard. They get the verdict, okay? And it's often described in very simple terms. If you have a scale, like scales of justice, if it just goes 51% to 49% in favor of one party, they win. That's a civil case. That's what preponderance of the evidence. That's enough to bankrupt somebody. That's enough to take away their business, leave them penniless. It is not enough to convict them of a crime. There's even a higher standard than that law called clear and convincing evidence. And clear and convincing evidence, for example, in custody disputes, for example, where the custody of a child is at stake. Clear and convincing evidence in some custody disputes, you can take a child away from the parent if you prove by clear and convincing evidence that that parent should not have custody. They have not met the standards for the legal system requires a parent. Clear and convincing evidence. Clear and convincing evidence alone is not enough to convict someone of a crime in the legal system. So take a child away, but not enough to convict of a crime. Let me ask you this: do you think you see clear and convincing evidence in this case that Tyrell Efron is truthful, that he's believable, that he's honest, that he's honorable, does not have financial motive in this case, that is to be believed and trusted? They can't even meet the clear and convincing standard, let alone the highest standard in our legal system, which is beyond a reasonable doubt. It's not even close. To further explain beyond a reasonable doubt, the judge gave some great examples into preliminary instructions and how high that standard is. If you think someone may be guilty, that's not enough. If you think perhaps they're guilty, that's not enough. If you suspect they might be guilty, that's not enough. Possibly guilty, it's not enough. Probably guilty, not enough. Guilty likely, not enough. Guilty highly likely, not enough. It has to be guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, when you get into that jury room, ask yourself, do we have a reasonable doubt about Tyrell Efron in this case? Any. Because all it takes is one. Just one. Just one. You have hundreds. All it takes is one. Look, my time is almost up. I want to apologize to you again for the length that this journey has taken. But you know, you're seeking justice that really are no shortcuts. You trade this with me. You want to fight hard and vigorously, especially if it was for a person who's maintained their innocence from the get-go, from day one. And I hope and I trust that you'll understand that in the journey towards justice that there are no shortcuts. Let me tell you how this is going to proceed now. After lunch, I think, made now, the prosecution will get to go again for another submission, for rebuttal submission. We had this one opportunity to address you because they have this very heavy burden, so they go first and last. They will seek to rebut, which I brought up. Presumably, they won't be back up here talking about all sorts of new things, or they'll face objection. But they have to seek to rebut what is being argued right now. And let me tell you up front, I'm loath to object during someone else's argument. I don't do it. I didn't do it once before. Trying to do it, Mr. Lewis. But if something new is brought up, it may be helping. Let me tell you also this. If he brings up anything that we may be precluded from standing up again and saying, wait a minute, here's an answer to that. Wait a minute, ladies and gentlemen, you have an answer. But you can substitute your common sense. You all can substitute your common sense. Your judgment in that place, and that's required for this journey. In this journey towards justice, you can substitute your common sense. You can respond for us, not out loud, don't do that. But you can respond. I'd like to remind you of something Judge Arnold told you. By the way, before I do that, I just want to also tell you that we're all very fortunate to have in this church. I've been before many judges. His patience with us in particular, his humility, he is an inspiring role model for what a judge should be. So you're all very lucky in this world. I feel it. Anyway, his Honor told you in the beginning that Mr. Liu will have the opportunity, the prosecution list, Mr. Liu will have the opportunity to sum up last. It's not because I lost the point was. It's not because of that. At the beginning of this thing. It's because that's the rules. They have the very heavy burden, and those rules established by the state. So because they have the heavy burden of proving someone guilty beyond reasonable doubt, they go last, and that's a burden that never shifts to us. We have no burden. When a prosecutor has a particularly weak case like this, which stands or falls on evidence not worthy of belief, where's that from? They always make some sort of pitch like, oh, the witnesses are on trial. I defy them to get up here and convince you that the evidence shows beyond a reasonable doubt that Rocky didn't act in self-defense or defense of another, or that the start of this loop was a real beyond reasonable doubt. I defy them to explain to you why. Watch for attacks on defense, watch for questions posed by him, knowing we're not allowed to respond. The law says you can't respond for me. One other thing I'm going to pose to them right now. Remember yesterday I was telling you about this issue regarding cartridges from a prop gun. Because you heard about prop gun can eject, does eject some sort of a casing. And I said to you, there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever regarding what blank casings from a prop gun look like. You heard evidence that from Blue Evidence, the only one that was asked about it. There's paper and plastic in a prop gun bullet, so to speak. There's no evidence of how far or what direction they would be ejected to from the prop gun, whether they would still be intact or not, be split open. There's no evidence of that in this record at all. And certainly, there's no evidence that they would look anything like something that would be observable by the police, like those silver, shiny, metallic casings from a real firearm. No evidence whatsoever. I was told yesterday there was an objection. I was told I was missing the evidence. I then said, first of all, I don't mistake the evidence, and I challenged the prosecution. Okay, if I'm mistaking the evidence today when they get up, show the jury.
Your Honor, this is improper argument.
If I mistake the evidence, show the jury when you stand up. If I mistake the evidence, show them the evidence in this record that cartridges of a pop gun are metal or metallic or anything. Anything. There's no evidence in the record at all. I'm still going to mistake the evidence. They could probably show. Now, it comes a time for me now to conclude my remarks, and I may never have another opportunity to speak to you again, certainly not this setting, maybe when the case is over. And you've been told many, many times there are very heavy burdens placed upon the prosecution of people for good reasons. Prove this case beyond reasonable doubt. And as such, it is someone's duty to answer for you as best it can any legitimate questions arising from the evidence which we believe is cast out on Rocky's guilt. There may be 1,000 such questions in a case like this, which we could put to them, but we intend no such exercise. We'll be here until the summer. I do think, after careful deliberation, that it might be fair to suggest 10 questions that literally hang in the air in this courtroom at a certain moment. And as time approaches for you to decide this case, for us to hand the baton to you as you will, I offer these questions now as the most important challenge to the prosecution. The prosecution claims it's met this burden in this case. They claim that. Well, if the burden has in fact been met, then you'll be given logical, sensible, credible, satisfying answers to each of these 10 questions. On the other hand, the questions are overwhelming or unanswerable. Those questions will be ignored, or you'll be told that the prosecution has no obligation to answer our questions. If you're getting anything less than complete, sensible, satisfactory responses to these 10 questions, beyond a reasonable doubt, you'll quickly realize that the case is transparent and false and false. We prove real hard things to you, things you can see, things you can take back to the jury room. And that is, you have to find Rocky not guilty. And when I concluded, and for Ms. Lewin's convenience, I should decide to deal with these very troublesome questions. I'm going to leave him the written list up here of questions when I conclude. Let's see if he wants to throw them or not, but I'm going to show you those 10 questions. Here they are. Let me go over them with you one by one, very briefly. Question number 1. Other than Relly's word, what evidence is there that he photographed shell casings at the scene? Okay, there is none. We know that. Because even though they have photographs from his phone, they didn't get the metadata, which would have shown where those photos were taken. We also know they didn't get his GPS location at 11:45 that was shown where he was when he took those photos. Number 2, other than Relly's word, what evidence is there that the shell casings even came from the scene? No evidence other than his word. Lydia Parker's not here. Let's talk about the metadata and the GPS location. Third question I asked him to answer. Other than Relly's word, what evidence is there that he even went back to the scene? Because now we know he swears that at 11:09, that's not him. That's not him anymore. And there is no video of him going back to the scene. So now we're left with his word again. Because they have Bill's GPS location, but not Relly's. Number 4. Other than Relly's word, what evidence is there that he ever left Los Angeles after going to the shooting range, shooting off 9mm, by the way, 2 weeks before the incident? Again, it's just his word that he left Los Angeles 2 weeks before. So he took a flight, and he took a flight back. That would have been a very easy one to prove. But we just have his word. Number 5. Other than Relly's word, what evidence is there that the scrapes on his knuckles were gunshot wounds? Even have to comment on that. Number 6. Other than Relly's word, what evidence is there that a conversation ever happened on November 5th to set the tone for November 6th between ASAP Bari and Rocky? Other than his word, there was no ASAP Bari, no phone records, so we just have to take Relly's word that happened. Number 7. in light of Lou Levin's testimony and in light of Lou Levin and Twelby's unimpeached testimony, other than Relly's word, what evidence is there that Rocky did not carry from them? Other than Relly's word? There's none. No evidence of shooting. Nothing from either video says that's not a problem. None. Number 8. Other than Relly's word, what evidence is there that he was shot by an operable semi-automatic firearm? Again, other than his word, no evidence whatsoever. Number 9, this one's my personal favorite. Number 9. How is it that you do not need Relly's truthful testimony, remember that question, to establish a shooting occurred when Detective Flores told you, A, the parking garage video does not show an operable gun. That's his testimony. So let me break it down this way. Video 1 alone, you don't know if the gun's operable, correct? Correct. B, the video from 1616 Beast Del Mar does not show if there's any gun at all. The answer to that was specifically just looking at that and not looking at anything else, no. Well, that's the video. Just looking at that, no. And C, the sound heard on the video from 6200 Hollywood Boulevard may have come from a replica firearm, according to Detective Flores. So, no evidence of an operable gun in one video. No evidence of the gun at all or any shooting in the second video. And the pop, according to that case detective, could have come from a replica. So, do you need Relly's testimony? Because if you just don't have it, if you take it out, like was suggested in that question, Detective Flores told you there's no evidence. No evidence that there was a shooting or an operable firearm. And number 10, given that Relly told you he can lie whenever he wants, you saw him commit perjury multiple times. Relly told you he will commit perjury when he doesn't want to answer a question. How can you trust Relly with a matter of importance in your life, the life of a loved one, or the life you sit in judgment of? I don't know how they answer those questions. They can't. I believe these 10 questions right here. We'll see if you get answers. I don't think so. Well, you have the capacity to transform his very dark 3.5 years into a bright tomorrow. You have that capacity. You have the power in your hands. It's up to you now. You're going to pass the baton to you now, or very soon anyway. And you will do the right thing, I'm sure of it. You made that commitment for justice. You'll do the right thing. I will go someday on other cases, no doubt. Mr. Lewin, Mr. Siegel, Mr. Perslowman, Ms. Kaplan. We will, Judge Arnold will try another case someday, I hope. But this is Rocky's one day in court. By your decision, you control his very life in your hands. Treat it carefully. Treat it fairly. Be fair. Do the right thing. Remember the testimony of Terrell Efron and ask yourselves if you would trust him with any matter of importance in your life. And if the answer is no, you can't trust him with a matter of importance in his life. The case rises and falls just so up with him. All you can do is try and get Rocky's life back. Imagine living under despicable accusation. 3.5 years. Facing what he's facing, knowing he didn't do a thing wrong. It's been my privilege, my absolute privilege, and honor to represent someone that I admire as much as. And I thank his amazing family for putting their trust in me. You ask questions in jury selection. If you had a doubt, would you have any problem saying not guilty? Would you have the courage to say not guilty? Did you have the mental fortitude to walk back into this courtroom and fail to prove him guilty? You have the courage to walk back in here and say you find him not guilty. You all said you could do that. You all said it. That's why you were picked. That's why the citizen of you are here. You know that's part of your job. You said you could do it. I'm going to hold you to that, and I hope you hold yourselves to it. That's what makes the system great. Your courage, your willingness to stand up for what's right. Look, this courtroom says Mark S. Arnold, judge. He's the judge. Judge Arnold's courtroom. But when it comes to the facts in this case, it's your courtroom. When it comes to what's right in this case, it's your courtroom. When it comes to what's fair in this case, it's your courtroom. No one will take that from you. This is your courtroom right now. I'm going to tell you something. What happened here isn't right. Think about that. Because if the message was going to be sent out, that proof like this is not to convict one of us, one of our citizens, none of us have a chance. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Thank you, Mark.
Take a break now, folks. Please be outside. The courtroom goes at 1 o'clock, at which time you will hear from Mr. Miller. Please remember, keep an open mind. You have not heard everything. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves or anybody else, and we'll see you in about 70 minutes.
All right, folks, that was the defense closing argument. They will come back from lunch around 1 p.m. Pacific time. I will set up a new stream for that, or I already did. So I will be redirecting you to that one. And yeah. For you who don't know, why am I not on screen is because I have a stint of pneumonia. And yeah. So need to be a bit calmer than usual. But everybody, thank you for being here so far. I will end this stream and make sure that you will get, well, just check my channel. Next stream is already up there, okay? Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to do this, even though it's not my usual snarky self. Okay? See you in an hour on the next stream. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Relly told a tale while as a safari. Said he was at the spot like a twisted Atari. Defense attorney Taco, quick with the retort. Caught him in the web, justice cut short. Taco brought the heat, grilling all the lies. Relly squirmed and sweated under those eyes. Proof on the table, evidence stacked. Relly tried to pivot, but the story cracked. Relly lied again, caught in the snare. Truth ain't hiding, it's floating in the air. Struggled with the truth, fighting off despair. Defense attorney Taco had him in the glare. Relly spun a yarn, thicker than a rope. Taco cut it thin, no room to elope. Caught in the act, red-handed with the fibs. Sweating bullets now, like a sinking ship. Clock's ticking loud, truth in the mix. Relly fumbling, words can't fix these tricks. Taco stands firm, facts got the hold. Relly's lost